It only took me 10 seconds to fall in love with Farthest Frontier thanks to one screen. This is the Villager Profession tab. It's a little dense, but people always tell me I am too, so I'm not gonna hate on it for that. Look at how many jobs there are. Think of the resource diversity that has to come with this. I can tell this game's going to involve efficiently gathering, processing, and distributing 24 different supply lines, and I am here for it. We begin this game as you start all survival games. Punching trees. Okay, they do at least have tools like axes to chop them down with here. This number along the top bar on the left represents how many months of food we have and what's going to rot in the coming year. 9 months worth might seem like a lot, but months pass in minutes in this game. Fortunately, we can extend that supply. I'll put down a forager's shack to harvest the greens and eggs around here, and then look at fisheries. There's lots of water around, but there aren't actually that many great spots for fishing. You want a high surface area of water around the shack. 12 water tiles here gives a 40% buff to fishing yield, while 8 spots over here gives nothing like that. I'll go ahead and grab this 12 spot location, but that's the only good one we have. Right now, villagers are unhappy on account of having nowhere to live. Seems kinda whiny. I mean, it's the spring, it's not even bad out yet. Well, I'll put some houses in to make a nice quaint neighborhood. Each building needs resources like food and water stocked inside for the villagers living there to be happy. Residents will stop working and haul those resources over as soon as they need. They're gonna need firewood soon, although they don't want it chopped near their home. I guess because of the noise? It being nearby gives these houses negative desirability, which is pretty picky for people who are just homeless. Hopefully they're not as picky about their diet, since we're gonna be eating a lot of fish. I'm not seeing that many vegetables to actually forage. Now when I open the Professions tab, there's fishers, foragers, and woodchoppers. But let's get to working on a farm. Where this gets placed matters a lot because soil fertility varies. They do require a lot of initial work to prepare, which is what that little icon next to the cost is. That's more than 100 times as much as a basic house takes. It might be done next year, it might not. There's the first new villagers. Some immigrated, and one was born here too. Let's treat them all pretty well. And that starts with an actual source of water. We're doing okay on food, although that is going to be strained before long. Winter's coming soon. You can't gather any food then, and I'm still a little bit worried about spoilage. I think we'll be fine though. The stockyard gets finished, which unlocks more types of resource processing buildings like the saw pit. That turns wood into planks, which are used for higher tiers of buildings. Let's put some roads in to speed villagers up. These curved roads are a nice touch, usually at least. They act a little bit weird later on. The area on the right is going to be that residential neighborhood, while industry and production get accomplished on the left. Winter's arriving, but we do have 6 months of food stored up. A wolf tried to sneak in and steal some of it. These will occasionally attack nearby villagers. Fortunately, you can individually control villagers getting attacked to tell them and run off, while telling others nearby to help fight the beast. 6 months of food became 2 pretty quickly, although it is late winter. I think it's going to be really close. Ooh, right as more people want to come. They are mouths to feed, but I'm very greedy. I guess that means more fisheries as Spring Stall grants us mercy. What to upgrade the village with? I could put in a compost yard which takes waste to make fields more fertile, a fletcher for bows and arrows, although we started with plenty and have barely touched them. Villagers tell me they want a market as if they were listening to me this entire time, but I think that's a good goal for now. Maybe food should have been my first goal though. We've got nothing stocked. It'll be fine. The market we want requires we build a storehouse first. The stockyard keeps raw building materials like wood, planks, and so on, while the storehouse keeps most other things like food, items, and processed goods. Let's put in a root cellar to preserve veggies while we're at it. This should help reduce rot compared to items stored in the storehouse. The farmers are going to be slowly working the fields to actually fill it with, but there's a lot more work to be done while that goes on. This game actually has RTS mechanics, so I'll bring the hunter down this way to scout things out. There's deer down here. I built a hunter shack closer to the village to process the wolf that attacked the villagers, but no wildlife was nearby it. Is there any way to move that building here? Nope, definitely not. Ooh, dysentery. I played enough Oregon Trail to know how this is gonna go. Well, first up, another forager's shack for the eggs and willows near this area goes in. Then I'll get rid of the hunter's cabin to rebuild it at the proper look. Oh, that's a nice feature. Scratch that reconstruction business. Now the hunter Vicky roams here to start attacking deer instead of just staying nearby their cabin and doing nothing. And since we can do that, I'll tell the original forager to work an area with herbs that might be useful to treat whoever caught dysentery. A basket shop goes in to weave those willows into baskets that improve hauling capacity. The market needs to go in the center of the neighborhood. Here, a worker is going to distribute resources to the nearby houses, freeing time up for those workers and making them more efficient. Looks like all that stuff about foraging for herbs was a little bit too late. Hopefully the fact that they get to be the first person in this now exclusive graveyard means something to their ghost. We're 6 months out from spring with 6 months of food left, so we should be fine through this winter. I say as it drops to 4 months, and then 2. Why, game? Why do you do this to me? Well, time for more fisheries. Oh, food's rotting. That's probably why the stocks dropped like that a second ago. I'll build a smokehouse to help alleviate that. Oh wow, the villagers really don't want to smell that. The snow hits and more fish start rotting. How? It's freezing outside. Just throw those fillets out the window and dig them up when you need them. I guess digging them might be a little hard when everyone's locked inside to help weather the cold. How can these cowards be scared of hypothermia when we treat everyone with a disease so well here? The first farm is almost done, so I queue up a second one. I think I need more food in general though. Winter is starting to wane while we only have a tiny bit of food left. But despite how easily we survived that, I don't think we can make it through the next winter without an extra source of food. The taxman, which is me, came. Wait, gold? Where did our settlers get gold? We almost starved that winter and they're sitting on gold ingots? A wolf volunteers to contribute to restocking our pantries. That and fresh spring greens should get us through until the farm's done. The main goal we have right now is upgrading our town center. That's gonna need more planks and more people in the village, but we are getting close. Did lightning really just strike the middle of my town? Thankfully, this game's still early access and doesn't have fire in it yet. It looks like the farm isn't going to be ready until summer or fall, so another forager goes in to help get us some more food in the meanwhile. It's not a good long-term plan, but if it's too late to plant anything in the farm, I want some people harvesting enough food to maybe get through winter. I hadn't finished a farm before, but instead of something scripted like everything else, have my raw reaction. Oh, whoa! Oh, so this is like the next 3 years, right? Because this first year looks like we're about that far through. But oh my god, look at all this stuff. So it like impacts the fertility of this zone, so I could try to make it more fertile over time by, I assume, building some stuff. Yeah, like clovers increase fertility, but don't actually presumably give very much food. Oh my god, this is so amazing. I love this game. That lets farmers get to work. We're doing okay on food now, but I'm using over half of our villagers to get it, which is slowing down building and upgrading a lot. That balance should shift once the second farm is up and running because farms give more labor efficient food. I think. We've built up a stock of leather a tannery can turn into coats, which should let villagers work through the cold instead of sheltering away for it. More villagers start to arrive and appreciate our sense of fashion. We've got enough people and enough planks to upgrade our town center. There is a third tier, but that's a long way off, and that second tier unlocks a lot more buildings. There's bees, pottery, linen clothes, candles, charcoal, soap, an armory, mills, bakeries, fruit trees, granaries, a wagon shop for transporting goods, a vault for all that gold we somehow have, rat catchers, schools, trading posts, and a place for healing. Everything up to now was sort of a light version of this game, like a tutorial. Now's when things start to get complicated. A school might help me make sense of all this. It'll also educate our young villagers to help them be more productive and to fill roles that require education later on. But that's gonna require clay, which we don't have yet, and I haven't even seen. I also do want a soap shop. Soap, So basically first try. Now let's rove out in search of adventure and or clay. But it is getting close to winter, so cool. Let's head back and try this again in the spring. We harvested the crops. We have so much food now, including hundreds of beans. I think we would have gotten more with a higher fertility and presumably a lower weed level. Let's try working the fields next spring to help with some of that. We've got the food to handle it in the meanwhile. Another saw pit goes in, since these tier 2 buildings take a lot of planks and we've got tons of wood. Winter arrives as I marvel at the crop screen a little more. This cold shouldn't be too hard with all that food we've stocked, and we should even have some work getting done thanks to those leather coats. Spring arrives and Stagram goes out to explore. Clay's the main goal, but he only finds fertile ground to the south. The west has deer, willows, and trees. The northwest has more water blocking it. You can get a trading post and buy some stuff. We might have to do that for the clay we need. The north has herbs, mushrooms, and a big mountain with lots of iron ore, but still no clay. The adventurer is getting low on food, so I go ahead and send them back to base. On the way, a wolf attacks. Oh, they're low health. Oh, they're very low. Keep running, friend. Keep running. Though by keep running, I do mean turn around and smack the wolf down. The wolf died, but Naman caught rabies. That's lethal if you don't treat it with modern medicine pretty quickly, so he's just dead, right? I think Naman is gonna be no man pretty soon. Telling our farmers to work the fields cuts the weed and rockiness levels down a lot. So let's try clovers to increase fertility next. There's Naman John. It's a shame there's nothing that could have been done to prevent that. A merchant arrives, and while they do have clay, it's really expensive. A school and healing hut alone would cost over 200 gold, which I don't have in raw cash. I think I'll move stone to the trading post and sell that to afford it all. But let's also send someone out to explore a little bit more. The mountain might have some clay nearby, so they go up past a lot of vegetables before finally finding a clay deposit we can actually mine. The clay pit needed for that requires a wagon shop, but I can afford that. Wagons should also help haul goods back to the village itself. Let's put some roads in to help with that. The curved roads are a little bit funky, but it's surmountable. With clay secured, a healing hut can go in, eventually, after the school. Hunting is starting to take a toll on the arrow supply, so I'll throw down a Fletcher building. Clovers work to boost the fertility in the fields, although only by a little bit. It'll take years of growing them to really get it up there, so let's work on the weeds in the meanwhile. A little bit of context here. I just resumed recording and alt-tabbed out to check on audio, hence the lack of game sounds, right as a bear attacked. It sensed I was looking back and retreated. Afterwards, I do send a group out to try and find the dastardly beast, but they aren't finding anything. We'll keep going until we find the beast and... ooh, that's an impending blizzard. Maybe they head back to the village now. What's the worst a fourth wall breaking bear can do? With little else to do, I queue up more beans and some flax for the following year. Every crop is good at different things. High fertility increases their yield at the cost of making them more susceptible to various diseases. I seriously don't think I can gush about how much I like this system enough. Oh, apparently human waste is building up. Let's nip that in the butt and plant a compost yard near the farms. The wagon shop finishes, unlocking clay pits and other mining outposts. We're doing good on food now, but we've barely started to work towards other resources or make other goods. Expanding our economy seems like a medium-term goal. A candle shop helps turn our bees' products into, well, candles, although that's also going to require clay, and I don't know what candles actually do. That clay pit is up and running, but we need a lot for all these buildings. A weaver can turn all the flax we're growing into outfits. The colonists want a school, but one's already in session. Well, we need more clay before it's actually in session. Some roads go in through the industrial district and towards the mining area to our north. The curved roads do a lot to help make the village look a little bit more authentic and less blocky. Back to industry. A cobbler is going to help make people shoes. An iron mine goes in near the clay pit to help us start stocking metal, and a coal mine goes in halfway to the village to help do the same thing. The school finally finishes, but teachers need to be educated themselves to help teach children. It's not quite a catch-22 since we do have a few educated villagers. I just can't figure out how to make them actually fill in this job. I clicked and it happened. Was that a coincidence? If it's not, and you're familiar with how to do this, please leave a comment explaining it. The next farm is ready, and while the first one is giving us food we actually need to survive, this one can get worked into a really good state. A third farm can also go in above the other two, nestled up against the road. The neighborhood is getting full, and I want to put in a building to improve desirability, so one house near the middle gets moved. That lets a shrine go in its place. I can also start to flatten this area near the hill to make room for a second neighborhood. Time starts to move quickly though. Winter passes and spring follows suit as we gather resources to expand the economy. A grain crop is near, so it's time for a windmill overlooking the farmland. Raiders arrive to disturb that peace seconds later. 10 of them up in the north. How do I sound the alarm game? This bell at the town center says it garrisons villagers, but I want them to go out and defend the village, not hide in buildings. Dragging a big rectangle is one kind of bell. Come on everyone, gather up. Alright, someone sound the trumpet. Charge. Do we have a trumpet? Okay, this strategy is not going great. They're much stronger and they have weapons while we're just punching them, but we do have numbers. They can't kill all of us, right? It takes a little bit of finagling to get them to attack like this. This is definitely not how you're supposed to handle raids. But after punching most of them to death, the few remaining survivors flee. A third of our villagers were hurt and 6 were slain. That was not good at all. At least we have 6 graduates from our first school class to replace the 6 that died. Hopefully one of them can fill the healer's hut to treat all the festering wounds another 25 have. Although one of the graduates is only 8, I'm not sure I trust them to be a doctor. There is one thing that might save them though. Rumor has it that one villager will survive for every 10 likes and or comments this video gets. That said, I think this is the last we're gonna see of this village. Not because this would ruin everything, but because I'm addicted to restarting in a game like this. Taking everything you've learned and doing better next time is just so much fun. Who knows? A proper challenge run might come sooner than you're expecting.